All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. Today's episode is really just a quick catch-up from the Awin Fashion and Retail Day event, which we hosted in Stockholm at Bryggeriet on the 27th of September. From my personal perspective, I think the event went fantastic, but I've brought in some members of the team to give you a quick recap. I'm here with Christian Hogberg, who I just butchered his last name, Hogberg, who works on the advertiser team as a key account manager. And I'm also here with Tim Lomborg, who is the CM for Awin in the Nordics. I always, make sure to say that put together as if people don't know that Awin AB is Awin in the Nordics. It's all right. It seems to me, and I think it is a universally held perspective, that we get better year on year with our locations, or at least we find a new interesting location for the event venue. We've had it so far at Opera Teresen, we've had it at Fotografiska, and we've now had it at Bryggeriet, all of which are fantastic locations here in Stockholm. So, Tim, I'm going to just ask you, kind of going in, were you happy with the overall selection of the location? Do you feel there was an upgrade over the years before? Did we successfully meet that target?
Yeah, like I said in the intro to the event, it's getting more and more difficult to find good locations. It's already the third event that we've had here, and we try to find new locations each time. So finding Bryggeriet was really a very good location for us. In practice, it also turned out to be a very good location. It was much more compact in the way that was built up, and it really made for an overall good event. In general, I think the event, every year we say it's the best one yet, and this year topped the other events by far. So I think in terms of organization, in terms of speakers, in terms of how everything was set up for the day, it was definitely the best event we've had.
When we say it's the best event yet, obviously that's based on some set of goals going in. As a country manager here, what is it that you set forth as the goal for the event year on year? Or is it different each year, or is it kind of one umbrella goal that we're trying to meet with the event?
It's always the same goal. We want to create a space for our clients and our guests to meet and talk about affiliate marketing. We want to have really good speakers that are experts in their fields that can talk about the overall affiliate marketing space and what's around it. And we want to have a place where advertisers and publishers can meet to talk about actual campaigns and about the actual day-to-day business.
Has the landscape of guests changed much over the years, or does it stay pretty stagnant here in the Nordics?
Well, this year we had a lot more advertisers than in the past years, which I think was really good for the kind of dynamic throughout the day. So there was much more business talk going on about campaigns than maybe before in the previous years. And we have a lot of international guests. This year we asked around in the crowd how many people were outside from Stockholm, and 80% outside of Stockholm. Really a lot of people came from far away, and we're really humbled by that and very thankful.
Were there any particular things that stand out to you as highlights from the event this year?
I think there are three things. Yeah, especially from the speakers. We had the CEO of Homeroom, we had Sri Sharma from Increasingly, and we had Henrik Smollett from Strussel. And they were fantastic speakers that hit the point on current topics. And then also the booths of our main sponsors, Elos and Yotix and ASOS, they were fantastic this year. They really decorated the entire second floor of the event location, giving a really nice and cozy space for all the meetings that were held there. And then just going through the location and seeing all the different meetings being held and people deep down in discussions, that's really inspiring.
On a more critical note, on highlight, is there anything that just stands out as something that can be improved upon going forward?
Every year after the event, we have a catch-up meeting, and this year was surprisingly short. We've really kind of perfected it over the years, but if there's anything we could do, I think we talked about finding new formats for people to meet even more. Now it's more about pre-arranging meetings and people meeting by coincidence and catching up, but kind of making more introductions spontaneously throughout the event.
As I mentioned before, I'm also here with Chris. Chris, you work quite a lot with some large international advertisers. An event like this for us here locally may be a large-scale undertaking and something that doesn't exist in numbers, right? It's kind of, there are a few of these type of events, and we try to do an excellent job of putting them together, obviously, but for larger international advertisers, maybe they have a little bit more experience with these. Maybe they go to more in other markets. Did you get any specific feedback, or have you gotten in the past any specific feedback on the format itself or on this type of event here locally as compared maybe to some of the other markets?
Well, I'm lucky enough to have been to a few of these events in other markets. I think because of the relative small size of affiliate marketing, I think the format is pretty straightforward. I think everybody does things a little bit differently. I think based on what we've heard here, the mingle part of the event is maybe what most consider the most beneficial for them traveling, especially with such a high degree of people actually traveling. And just getting that little bit of face time. Yeah, I think overall it's pretty similar to other markets, but hopefully we do a good twist on it.
Same thing kind of that I asked with a reverse perspective. Publishers maybe have a little bit less ability to have certain expectations with regards to having meetings set for them. That's just kind of a traditional way that things flow in affiliate marketing, is that generally the advertiser would have the ability to have meetings planned for them. Maybe from a publisher perspective, it's a little bit more difficult and they don't necessarily expect it either. Advertisers, at least in my experience, tend to expect these things when there are people they want to meet. They say, hey, we want to meet this person, put us together with them. Did you get a lot of requests for that? Do you get a lot of requests for that? I know that you do sort of an event here where you have sort of yearly meetings with a lot of publishers and particular advertisers. Is it something that happens also at this event, or?
I think this year we introduced an app where you were able to see beforehand who was attending, which we've also shared with the advertisers. So based on that, obviously, they've highlighted a few that maybe they wanted to have an introduction to that they haven't had a chance to meet with yet. So we did our best to facilitate that. Obviously, there's a lot of people coming to these events that maybe they didn't know about beforehand, so it's hard to request one of those meetings. And then it's really crucial for publishers to have the courage to walk up and either find someone in Awin that they usually talk to, or find someone working with the advertiser and saying hello.
Anything on your side that you think stood out as a major highlight?
I think the overall dedication from our advertiser sponsors was overwhelming. The truckload of sponsor material that Utex brought and furnished half the upper deck was really overwhelming, I think. And I think it added a lot, as Tim mentioned, to the overall feel of the event. So that definitely, I think the engagement this year was also better than it has been from publishers wanting to engage with advertisers and vice versa. That was also a highlight, I think.
Do you think that the engagement has to do with the timing breakdown? Is it just who's there? Does it have to do with a specific, emphasis on connecting people, or is it just an organic thing that sometimes happens better than other times?
Well, I think just as we've gotten more used to these sort of events, I think we have a lot of publishers that come year after year. So when they get familiar and comfortable with the format and sort of know what to expect, maybe they want to engage a bit more every year as well. So I don't think that we can take all the credit for the interactions that happen. I don't think we should, because we have a lot of great publishers and advertisers who want to speak to each other. So
the content is obviously something that is always, I'd say, I agree with you that the time, the interaction, the mingle time is probably the most important thing for people who travel. The speakers and their content, however, is a thing that can stand out as really a sore thumb if it's poorly executed. Do you think that the idea of kind of a future-looking set of presentations is a good thing for the industry, or is it better to have more educational, foundational affiliate content, or a mix of both?
I think it makes sense to try and have speakers and topics that do not exclude too many and at the same time are not too broad to include everybody. So I think this year we went for a format where the first speeches started out on a bit more of an inspirational note, and then it drilled down to be more affiliate specific. We've had positive feedbacks on the speakers, so hopefully this was a format that people did enjoy. But obviously if someone has other input for us and brings that forth, then obviously we'll listen to that as well.
Kind of just a final thing for you, any specific critique, any areas that you think, and I only ask this, because I think it's one thing to sort of throw softballs at you guys, of course, but the reason we do the event is so that we can make those connections, and those connections are productive. We actually get some productivity value out of the event for our advertiser partners and our publisher partners, right? We don't want to just kind of, shine something up and then hand it to them that's decorative ornament. This is supposed to have a purpose. So it's important that we kind of explore the critiques as well. And if there are areas that we can improve, then we improve on that. So kind of from your end, were there any areas that you think maybe we should turn it up, turn it down?
Well, I think it's back to having an event that is as beneficial as to so many people as possible. So even though some people might want to come there and have an entire day of mingling, that is not why everybody comes there. Some want to come there and listen to inspirational topics and have that sort of be a stimuli for discussion as well, which I think it does act as. So I think it's always a balance. I think maybe next year, if we start thinking about more creative ways for people to mingle or sort of experiment with different interaction techniques where people are encouraged to meet more, I think that would be interesting to look at. I don't think it's needed per se, because I think so many people are interested to come there just to speak with each other and get that face-to-face meeting. But that might be something to explore.
Sounds good. Well, guys, thanks for joining me. For everybody who attended the event, of course, we want to thank you for joining us. For everybody who participated in the survey, a big thanks. It's very helpful for us moving forward. And for anyone who is out there and did not participate in the event, was not on hand, we look forward to seeing you next year. You will hear, of course, from the account managers and the teams here with regards to location and speakers and so on as soon as we put those things together. Of course, sponsorship opportunities will be made available to you. And again, thank you guys so much, and we look forward to seeing you soon.